What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna be jumping right into the video, but I just want to let you know, thank you for watching and I hope you enjoy. Let's just jump in. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
There once was a boxer who used beautiful footwork and otherworldly head movement to
Muhammad
evade
Ali,
his
baby.
opponents. A boxer who used distance as a weapon, leading his competitors into some of the most beautiful knockouts ever caught on film. A boxer who kept his hands dangerously low, but was just too fast for it to matter. That boxer was of course named Samart Peyakarun. And as well as being a champion pro boxer, he also happened to be the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time.
Okay. So he did boxing and Muay
Competing
Thai?
during the golden age of Muay Thai,
I got you baited for
Samart
sure.
was light years ahead of his time, incorporating complex boxing footwork and head movements similar to Muhammad Ali's into his Muay Thai repertoire.
Oh, whoa.
If Samart had used more common movements from boxing, his attempts to blend them with Muay Thai's staple techniques may have been a totally futile endeavor. But the cross steps, L steps, backwards shifts, and pulls used by Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson before him turned out to be perfect additions to Samart's unique style.
Oh,
Ali's
dang.
footwork pattern was one of the first things ever covered on this channel. It's side step, then hop or slide, cross step, and then return to stance. The idea for Ali was to circle deep to the inside of his opponents, squaring them up to expose more targets while he himself remained in a safely narrow stance. This is a great pattern for fighters who wish to dominate exchanges with their lead hand, and as Samart proved, it works equally well for fighters who wish to dominate the fight with their lead leg.
Is that not a thing in Muay Thai? Do Muay Thai fighters not really dance around the ring or use that type of footwork? Is that like a boxing thing? So that he had that kind of advantage against other Muay Thai fighters?
Like Ali, Samart's narrow, close stance let him extend the range of his jab while smoothly pivoting offline. But it also had the additional benefit of allowing him to easily lift his lead leg without needing to readjust his balance. In this way, Samart could easily transition between a flicker jab and a lead teep as he gracefully danced around the ring. The more experienced listeners may be wondering how Samart ever managed to use this footwork without falling victim to Muay Thai's infamously brutal leg kicks. The answer is that Samart worked defensive movements directly into his circling footwork pattern.
Ooh, smart.
If an opponent tried to leg kick on the first step of the sequence, Samart would simply turn his step into a leg pull, shifting back out of the way.
See, and that's the thing that like I would say Taekwondo is also really known for, is like we're really good with our footwork and making sure that it's not very like forward backwards, but making sure that like we can move side to side as well.
If they went into attack at any other point during the sequence, Samart would check with his rear leg, continuing to pivot and hop off his lead foot as he did so.
Then you just change it up. That's the thing as well. When we were doing Taekwondo, we had to also know if we were going to move sideways for whatever reason, if we're moving our back leg, we're anticipating that if anything happens, we're going to counter with our front leg. If we're moving to the side with our front leg and they kick, we're anticipating that we're going to be reversing and countering with our back leg. Same thing here. It's just we're adapting while we're transitioning to another position in the ring.
Another tactic that Samart shared with Ali was to frame off of his opponent as he circled.
Man, they're just trying to catch Ali. It's so funny.
Kickboxing, because steering an opponent off balance is even easier when they're up on one foot. Before we move on, let's take a quick look at one of the sequences that Samart used to score a knockdown. First, Samart teeps and then puts his foot down to the side, the start of his footwork pattern. He next cross steps and hops, but then, rather than hop off his lead foot to extend his jab and create an angle, Samart hops off his rear foot to do the same for his teep.
Exactly in Taekwondo. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And then jabs and circles his way off the ropes. His opponent throws a kick to Samart's exposed body, but Samart uses his extended jab to smoothly parry the kick away. Samart flicker jabs and then steps back as if he were about to retreat.
Yo, he looks like a boxer.
Instead,
for sure.
He intercepts his opponent as he moves in to chase. Notice how Samart's lead hand and foot work together, his perfect balance allowing one to blend seamlessly into the other.
And that's something similar
Samart
in Taekwondo as well.
Off this same technique again and again.
Like that's how we would fight it in Taekwondo. That push kick. That's why it's watered down now.
Incredible
that's how it is right now.
Samart could pull this off from an orthodox or southpaw stance in an open or closed position.
Yeah, really good footwork. I like the footwork.
This was similar in
just don't
concept
punch.
to the style of defensive genius Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, who also used cross steps and slides to dance in a southpaw stance with his right foot forward against orthodox fighters who had their left foot forward.
Yeah, I had right leg forward all the time.
The intricacies
People
of
hated
these
fighting against me because it was just so
stances have been
weird. It was
covered at
open.
length in many previous videos on this channel, but the important point to take away is that most fighters spend their entire careers perfecting only one of these positions in only one stance. Samart could dominate in all of them.
Yeah, we were
What's more,
supposed to know
he used
both.
his ability to quickly shift from orthodox to southpaw while circling to set up new lines of attack.
And if you can see, he also has his hands down when he's like moving around. Just because you have your hands down doesn't mean you're like not in defensive stance, right? When I'm moving around and I'm anticipating like a counter, I'm trying to go into his distance. So I'm always thinking defense. You see a kick, you just raise your hand up. No big deal. And he showed it multiple times that when he's moving around the ring, the opponent wants to kick his open body. What does he do? He just lifts and just blocks it. That's it. Easy peasy.
Changing stances
Not
in order
hard to
set up a
grasp.
strike from his new power side. Like here where he feints a kick to shift forward to set up a cross.
We do that, but we
Or
kick.
cutting an angle to change his lead side in order to sneak in a lead teep or
Nice.
jab.
Dude, this is Taekwondo footwork. When you add kicking now, it's Taekwondo footwork.
Of course,
100%.
all this fancy footwork would have been for nothing if Samart didn't have a powerful weapon with which he could take advantage of the angles he was creating. Ali had his jab, and Samart had his legendary lead teep.
Yeah, the push kick.
In fact,
Yeah, I was
Samart
known
used
to
his
dominate
lead
with my
teep
front leg
just like
push.
a good
Oh,
boxer
dude, I
uses
gotta
his
show
jab.
it. I gotta show a video of me just
Mostly
doing
ignoring
this.
the more traditional blend of a Thai march with a rear teep.
Dude, I
He
was...
instead used his lead leg to keep his distance,
Keep the distance, push, yep.
pester his opponent,
And then you can change it up to go to the face. Like front leg axe to the face.
and set up more devastating attacks.
Wow. He has boxing, Muay Thai, and Taekwondo in him.
In the same
That's what
way
I'm
that
seeing.
Ali could throw his jab from nearly any direction to angle through his opponent's guard, aiming it like a back fist or corkscrewing it over their shoulder, Samart could find the smallest opening to exploit by changing the path of his teeps. While a regular teep travels in a straight line to the target, Samart would angle his teep in a variety of different ways to exploit whatever opening his opponent showed at that time. Sometimes Samart
Wow.
would throw his teep at a 45-degree angle, something halfway to a roundhouse kick.
The reason I also like to do a push kick, one, obviously, if I'm not really ready or I'm trying to show him what I'm trying to do, right? So I'll push kick, have him go back. I know that he's trying to find a way to go in at me. So he could change the angle and go to the side so that I throw the kick, the push. They go to the side to counter. I'm ready for that counter. I slide back, block, punch, batso, you know? It's all about what you use with what tools you have in that toolbox, remember? Oh, nice.
Other times he would load and turn his hips into his teep like a sidekick, adding a tremendous amount of power.
Does he utilize that push kick more than other Muay Thai fighters?
Or, occasionally, he would even flare his
twisting
knee
kick.
outside to throw an inverted roundhouse. This is something you would never expect to see work outside of a point sparring.
I got a point like this in point sparring.
Samart's lead leg was so
See?
versatile,
Point
fast,
sparring.
and powerful, that he could get away with completely unorthodox movements. Here his
Inside-
opponent
oh,
catches his
twisting
leg
kick.
and tries to throw him off balance. But Samart is too flexible and well balanced, and actually uses his momentum to rebound off of the ropes like a pro wrestler, driving his opponent to the ground.
And just pushed him
Samart
with his
had
face.
such
Look at
great
that.
hip dexterity
Holy.
that he could easily pull his leg out if it got caught, or re-chamber it into a check to fend off any counters. The way that Samart chambered and retracted his kicks from multiple positions emphasizes how he had true mastery of the concepts behind the techniques, and therefore had no need to rely on rigid, more traditional movements. To quote a very wise martial artist that some of you may know, "Before I learned the art, a kick was just a kick. After I learned the art, a kick was no longer just a kick. Now that I understand the art, a kick is just a kick." In this way, Samart used what was necessary instead of what was strictly correct from a form standpoint. Of course, dancing and flicking out lead teeps was only one part that fit into the whole of Samart's style.
Exactly.
To boil it down to just one concept, Samart was the very definition of a natural-born counterpuncher. And what set him apart from the majority of other fighters,
I already forgot that, yeah, you can punch, man. Like, he's been showing so much kicks.
Like Ali. And an offensive counterpuncher, like Tyson.
Wow.
Samart was the perfect realization of Ali's self-titled lean back style in Muay Thai. He would stay just out of range in order to tempt his opponents into overreaching, and then punish them for it. To do this, Samart used a combination of head pulls and leg pulls to set up masterful counters. Upright pulls and slips are perfect additions to Muay Thai. Unlike low-level head movement, Samart's pulls and slips kept his head safely out of the way of kicks and knees, and actually eased his ability to use his lead leg. Notice how Samart uses his head movement here to ease the transition into his lead leg roundhouse.
Ooh, he's so smooth at those. Oh yeah, so smooth at the footwork.
Next, he pulls like he's in the Matrix to avoid a kick, leaving his opponent off balance and out of position. Samart takes advantage with the lead hook.
And you see, that's when I was saying in that other video, he's trying to kick as hard as he can. See what happens? He swings it, misses, and he's out of position because you can see his back. In Taekwondo, we're not trying to swing our kick, we're trying to snap. So if we're snapping it, it's because if we miss, we can snap it back, retract, and still be in our stance. Does that make sense?
And then follows up with a roundhouse kick to the body as a parting gift. In this way, Samart had one distinct advantage that Ali did not. While Samart was leg pulling, or checking, he was free to jab. And while he was pulling or slipping, he was free to kick. For instance, here Samart steps slightly inside in what can only be described as a leg slip, and simultaneously connects with a 1-2. And here he blends his motion of slipping an opponent's cross into a lead roundhouse kick counter.
Yeah, it's just different because we don't have really punches to like within our toolbox. So we do this all with kicks and legs.
Samart was also a big fan of leaning back in order to draw his opponents into overreaching, so he could drive a knee right into their stomach as they tried to close the distance.
He also looks really tall, lanky. I guess maybe only in that video.
That's not to say that Samart didn't occasionally use low-line head movement. Here he ducks underneath an opponent's punch to get a lock and then throws them to the floor.
Can you do that?
Samart combined these techniques with another staple of boxing footwork,
I'm just curious about the lock.
The major benefit of this movement in a kickboxing context is that the first part of the L step is an evasive leg pull, and the second part moves the fighter offline, setting up a new angle of attack. Or it could even turn into a kick.
We also don't kick the legs, so that's another thing that we can't do.
Here's a beautiful example. Samart escapes the ring using an L step and moves nearly 180 degrees, smoothly transitioning into a roundhouse counter. Years later, mixed martial artists like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson and Max Holloway would heavily rely on the L step for this exact same reason.
L step. Wow.
Behind all of Samart's high-level techniques was an impeccable sense of timing. And it was this otherworldly ability to seize the moment that allowed Samart to set up knockout strikes with even the simplest of movements. Just like the greatest, Samart was adept at subtly driving his opponents right into his rear
that boxing
hand.
stance, man. Yo, he actually does look like a boxer, but then when he starts kicking, I'm like, damn.
Samart would casually walk backwards until he found the exact moment when his opponent was unprepared and off balance.
He like goes into boxing stance and then pulls up into like kicking stance and boxing stance.
Not to push the point too much, but Samart shared yet one more attribute with his greatest of all time boxing counterpart: feigning fatigue or injury in order to bait his opponents and then punishing them for their mistakes.
And then bam!
When Samart went in for the kill, he gave his opponents no room to breathe. Keeping his competitors on their back foot unbalanced them and provoked panicked, rushed, sloppy strikes which Samart could then intercept with his own. To draw out attacks, Samart kept his head far forward, in a position much more like a boxer than a Muay Thai fighter. The moment his opponent's hand left their guard, Samart was already slipping, his loaded lead foot helping him to drop forward and counter their attack. By evading his opponent's punch and intercepting them as they moved in, he effectively doubled the impact of his strike.
Yeah, because I guess they're coming towards your punch.
And lastly, just because
Like
there
Thomas
wasn't enough
Hearns.
skill packed into one human being already, Samart also had a highly developed long guard, which he used to block his opponent's vision, steer them off balance, and set up holds and strikes. The long guard also provided a great tool from which Samart could get into clinching range, gliding his extended arm inside his opponent's strike to establish a hold. From there, he could pull them right into a knee or elbow, or simply throw them to the floor.
Yeah, that's wild. Domination. You
In
gotta
this
make sure that
sequence,
you're dominating
Samart
the fight. I
creates
love
his own
that.
opening by pulling down his opponent's guard. Samart is one of the few fighters that could seriously warrant an hour-long breakdown, and should be studied closely by serious practitioners from all disciplines. He was one of the first to show how two entirely contrasting styles could fit together, and was a harbinger to how that concept would eventually change combat sports forever. Who knows what unique blends will be tied together in the future, but for now, it's worthwhile
My God,
to
he missed
remember,
fast.
fight smart, fight Samart.
Oh, what a finish. Okay.
If you're interested in
What a
using
joke.
footwork like Samart and Ali, you can check out my best-selling book, Footwork Wins Fights. And if you're someone
Best-selling
who's
book?
fascinated
Damn,
by
bro.
how different forms
Congrats.
of martial arts can blend together or work against each other, then I suggest you check out our new graphic novel, Mortal Weapons. Written by myself
Nice.
and illustrated by the
Wow.
great Iman
Well
Nafi
done.
Rashid. It comes in at a hefty 100 pages with an 8x11 page size, and is full
That's actually
of
really
real-life
cool that he did
strategies
that.
and techniques.
Wow.
And best of
Let's
all,
go,
if
my
you pre-order
dude.
Right now, you can purchase Mortal Weapons for only $6.99. The links are in the description and the comments below. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.
The way that he moves around the ring as well, he has that nice agility and speed. He's very fluid, very smooth when he's kind of gliding. I'm seeing a lot of like Taekwondo form in him, especially the way where he changes the angle and then he counters it with a kick. But once he starts boxing and punching, obviously right away you can kind of see the boxing in him. I've seen more of boxing or Taekwondo rather than Muay Thai. Not a lot of elbows and knees when he was breaking down, obviously, this legend in Muay Thai, but you would see someone compete the same as he did if you were watching a Taekwondo competition. If you guys wanted to check those out, feel free just to kind of see. I break down one of the biggest fights in Taekwondo, and there's kind of like me just kicking someone if you wanted to see someone, you know, get dropped by your boy, Washed Olympian. But other than that, this video has been a really good breakdown on seeing someone that looks like a boxer and a Taekwondo fighter fighting in Muay Thai. But we all know that's it for the video, so this is the time to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. No pressure, but we're almost hitting that 1,000 mark, and I would want to hit it before the new year. That would sound phenombomb.com. And if you're wondering who I am, I'm just your Washed Olympian who won a bronze medal for Team Canada. And if you guys want to follow the journey, it's just me learning about sports and the history behind it all. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers for now. Peace.